Aaron Rodgers has not signed a contract. He has not shown up to a single team activity. He made Pittsburgh wait through free agency, through the draft, through 2 unofficial deadlines. Every other starting quarterback in the NFL already knows where they play in 2026. Rodgers is still deciding. So why are the Steelers still the only team sitting by the phone, waiting for one man to say yes? Let's start with what we know right now. As of Thursday, May 7th, NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport confirmed that Rodgers is expected to visit Pittsburgh this Friday and through the weekend. His sources say Rodgers will likely play for the Steelers in 2026. Local Pittsburgh insiders on 93.7 The Fan went further, saying Rodgers is expected to actually sign a contract this weekend. That is a big deal. But Rappaport was careful. He added that a deal is not done, and caution remains until a contract is actually signed. Because with Rodgers, nothing is official until it is official. So why did it take this long? And why is this weekend different from every other week this offseason where Pittsburgh was just waiting? That answer involves a piece of paper the Steelers filed quietly after the NFL draft, and it might be the smartest move the front office has made all year. After the 2026 NFL draft ended, Pittsburgh placed a rare, unrestricted free agent tender on Rodgers. Most fans glossed over it. They should not have. Here is what that tender actually does. It locks Rodgers out of negotiating with any other NFL team until July 22nd. After that date, Pittsburgh becomes the only team he can legally sign with. On top of that, if Rodgers somehow walks and signs elsewhere before July 22nd, the Steelers collect a 2027 compensatory draft pick. Steelers president Art Rooney, II, framed it as a safety net. He said the tender gives Pittsburgh protection in the unlikely event Rodgers goes somewhere else. But read between the lines. The Steelers had been patient for months. They stayed quiet through free agency, skipped every veteran quarterback available, and trusted the process. The tender was them finally saying, "We are not waiting forever." That filing is almost certainly why Rodgers booked the flight. The tender carries a value of roughly $15 million for 2026. Rappaport noted it is hard to imagine Rodgers plays for that number. So there is still a contract to negotiate. The visit is about bridging whatever gap exists between what Rodgers wants and what Pittsburgh is willing to pay. NFL insider Mike Florio put it simply. Rodgers would not be flying back to Pittsburgh if he did not think the gap could be closed fairly easily. Remember, this is not just a contract story. The Steelers built their entire 2026 offseason around this one man saying yes. Everything that follows depends on what happens this weekend in Pittsburgh. Before anyone writes off a 42-year-old quarterback, let's look at the numbers. In his first and only season in Pittsburgh, Rodgers threw for 3,322 yards, 24 touchdowns, and just 7 interceptions. He completed 65.7% of his passes. The Steelers made the playoffs. They are now chasing a 4th straight postseason appearance. Those are not the stats of a player on the way out. That is a functional, productive quarterback who still knows how to protect the football. For context, Rodgers signed that first deal for just $13.65 million. That was one of the most team-friendly contracts a quarterback of his caliber has signed in years. Pittsburgh got real production at a discount price. Now Rodgers turns 43 in December. He knows this is likely his final season. He has leverage. He is not signing another hometown discount. Here is the part of this story that gets overlooked. The Steelers did not just bring in any head coach this offseason. They hired Mike McCarthy, the man who spent 13 seasons coaching Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay from 2006 to 2018. In games Rodgers started with McCarthy as his head coach, Green Bay went 100 wins, 57 losses, and 1 tie. They won Super Bowl 45 together after the 2010 season. These two know each other. They know how each other thinks. They know what works. And they have stayed in contact. Reports say McCarthy and Rodgers have spoken every couple of days throughout this entire offseason. There was never a real falling out. There was no awkward reunion to manage. The relationship is intact. That matters more than any contract number. Rodgers does not go to a place where he does not trust the person calling the plays. McCarthy's hiring was the single biggest reason Pittsburgh remained the frontrunner all offseason, even when the noise got loud. But here is the question that should keep Steelers fans up at night. McCarthy coaching Rodgers worked in Green Bay. That version of Rodgers was 28, 30, 32 years old. This version is 42. What if the reunion looks great on paper and falls apart by November? While Rodgers was taking his time, Pittsburgh still had to run an offseason. Their current quarterback room right now is Drew Allar, Mason Rudolph, and Will Howard. Allar is a rookie. The Steelers selected him with the 76th overall pick in the 2026 draft. He is not ready to start. Rudolph has been a solid backup for years but has never been a franchise answer. Howard is an unknown. This is the group that has been practicing, taking reps, and preparing while Rodgers figures out his life. Every day without Rodgers is a day where the real plan cannot start. The offensive system McCarthy wants to run was built with Rodgers in mind. The receivers were targeted with Rodgers in mind. The entire 2026 season was penciled in with Rodgers under center. Pittsburgh's OTAs begin on May 18th. That is 10 days from now. Rodgers does not have to sign before then to participate, but the clock is real. This is exactly what we talked about at the start. The Steelers cannot fully move forward until this deal is done, and that has been true since January. Let's be honest about the other side. Pittsburgh has a rookie quarterback sitting on their roster right now. Drew Allar was good enough for them to spend a third-round pick on him in April 2026. At some point, that player needs real reps, real game experience, and a clear path to starting. Every year Pittsburgh delays that process is another year Allar develops in the shadows instead of under the lights. The Steelers have made the playoffs 4 straight years. That sounds great, but none of those runs ended with a Super Bowl. At what point does playoff appearances without rings become a sign that the team is stuck in a comfortable middle, not actually building towards something? Rodgers gives them a ceiling. He is a legitimate top 10 quarterback when healthy. He can still win big games, but he is also a one-year rental on a 43-year-old body. If he gets hurt in Week 6, Pittsburgh is Mason Rudolph's team. That is the risk hiding inside every Rodgers-related celebration. None of that changes what the Steelers are going to do. They are signing Aaron Rodgers. Here is why it still makes sense. Pittsburgh does not rebuild in the traditional sense. The Rooney family does not tank for picks. They do not blow things up. They find ways to stay competitive, and right now, the most competitive version of this team has Rodgers under center with McCarthy running the offense. The window is open. The pieces are there. Saying no to Rodgers means handing the keys to a group that is not ready, and Pittsburgh knows it. Art Rooney II said it himself after the draft. We've been in contact with Aaron on a regular basis. I think we will come to a conclusion here in the next few weeks. That conclusion is this weekend. So is Rodgers the answer, or is Pittsburgh delaying its rebuild again? Both things are true at the same time. Rodgers is the answer for 2026. McCarthy needs a real quarterback to run his system. The Steelers need a real chance to win now. Rodgers gives them that. But Pittsburgh is also delaying. Allar waits another year. The long-term plan stays on hold. The franchise stays one Rodgers injury away from chaos. That is the deal Pittsburgh made when they bet on a 42-year-old coming back from an Achilles tear in New York. They chose the present over the future. This weekend, they are about to make that same choice again. And honestly, given what Rodgers did last year, given McCarthy in the building, given a roster built to compete right now, it is hard to say they are wrong.